Good morning, everybody. If this is your first session of the day, thank you for joining us for the 10-day accessibility challenge at SUNY Oswego. Today is our 8th day of that. And this morning we are highlighting our Accessibility Fellow program. And we've been having short sessions with each of the different fellows from previous years who are sharing their takeaways and tips of things that they've been doing and learning about in making their courses in their classrooms more accessible. So up next, we have Steve Abraham, who is going to be sharing his accessibility takeaways with you guys and talking about the use of Panopto. So Steve, with that, let me hand it off to you and go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to talk a little bit about Panopto. I hope the presentation is not too clunky, but um, I'm actually going to have to share my screen twice. So I'm going to have to start sharing and then stop sharing. And I hope I do that semi efficiently. Um, Hopefully you can all see that. Well, first of all, let me talk a little bit about Panopto is basically a recorder that's something that you could use to make recordings either of a lecture that you're teaching or something outside of your lecture that you can then share in Blackboard. Um, Next, I want to share with you a couple of resources. Notice, by the way, for those of you who are doing this as part of the Accessibility Challenge, this is something that I learned and took away, and how I became more attuned to accessibility. Instead of just sharing the URLs for the different resources, I created hyperlinks because I know that that improves accessibility. But I'm not going to click on all of these links now because I'm not sure that we have enough time, and I'd have to stop sharing my screen. But this will be shared with you later. These resources will be great. There is an entire page on Oswego's homepage devoted to Panopto. There are extremely useful resources. Dan Laird, who I believe is with us today and is clearly our campus expert on Panopto, has already done two much more detailed presentations on Panopto. I've shared the links to both of those sessions with you. And then finally, as part of the accessibility group last year, each one of us made short 3, 4, 5 minute tips on accessibility, on a different aspect of accessibility. I made mine on Panopto, and so I shared that ship with you as well, in case rather than watching this full 20-minute presentation, you want to watch a shorter tip. So these will all be shared with you. First, before going into why I use Panopto, which I do talk about next, let me explain. And Dan can probably correct me if I'm mistaken about this, but there are similarities between Panopto and Zoom, but they're not exactly the same. Zoom is basically something where you would record a lecture at the time you're giving it, but everything would be done at once. And to me, it's a little bit clunky when you're doing it that way because, as I'm dealing with now, you have to share your screen and then stop sharing your screen if you don't want to. Panopto's a little bit different. You can use Panopto actually in two ways. You could use Panopto to record a lecture outside of class, then upload it to your Blackboard course and ask the students to watch it. And a good example, when we were all of a sudden switched last March to going offline, what I did was I took my in-person classes, and for each class, what I would do is each day I would make a short 5 minute recording. I didn't do the entire class through Zoom. I didn't think that would work for a number of reasons. So relying on the advice of a number of people, I made a short video, 5, 6 minutes each day, uploaded that to my Blackboard course, and asked my students to watch it. Um, but again, but you could also use Blackboard. You can also use Panopto when you're actually teaching a class. And the thing that I like about it, and I will show you this in a minute, when you record a live class with Panopto, it's automatically a share screen in the sense that there will be a split screen. One part of the screen that the students see will focus on you. The other will focus on what's ever on your computer screen. And it makes kind of a nice automatic built-in screen share. Just quickly before I demonstrate a little bit, let me take you to my next slide and talk a little bit about why I think it's so important to use Panopto. And just to run through this quickly, as we all know, students with disabilities sometimes need to miss a class, or sometimes students without a disability need to miss a class, but Panopto allows you to record the lecture and the students can then watch it afterwards. Students who have hearing difficulties, the lectures are automatically transcribed, and you can then edit the transcriptions as Dan showed yesterday. Students who need extra time, well, I'm not going to read through all of each one of these because I do want to get to spend a little bit of time showing you exactly how to do these step by step. But again, as I said, Dan's presentation, I think the one that he did on January 12th, goes into a lot more detail on this. So let me now stop sharing my screen, pick up my Blackboard course, and kind of walk you through quickly a quick version of what Dan showed the other day. Okay, here is a Blackboard course of mine from a previous semester. The way you set up Panopto in your course quickly is you start out by going to this plus here and adding what's known as a tool link. You scroll down, you click on the Panopto course tool application, then you can name it whatever you want. I call mine class recordings. Then you submit that. Well, I'm not going to do it because this is already in my course. But then what will happen is on the left side of your page will be something for a link for Panopto class recordings. Then you only have to do that once at the beginning of the semester. Then at the, again, only once at the beginning of the semester, you have to click on that link and you have to configure the course. I don't have to do that now because the course already has been configured, but you configure the course, you click on that, the course that you're actually teaching will come up here. You can add that. You can see that this is in my HRM 462 course that's already in there. So I click submit and it will be in there. Then on the day of the actual course, on the lecture, or well, presuming that you're doing it in a lecture that you're actually teaching, what you do is, again, you click on the Panopto link and you click on create recording. You click on Panopto. Um, and as you could see, hopefully everybody can see this. Then when you click on this button, this automatically is what gives you your split screen. On this side of the screen will be when the students see you. The other side will be what's ever actually on your computer screen. Then when you start the recording, now you're recording and everything is being recorded. You can, as an advantage, you can pause the recordings in the middle. Like if you want to stop for some reason and there's something you don't want to record, you could just hit the pause button and it stops. Then you can resume. When you're done at the end,
Hey, Steve, this is
yeah,
Michelle. I think that you are on, I don't think that we can see the video that you're, or the part of the screen
okay,
that you're
I
looking at.
apologize.
I think that
Let
you have
me,
to share it, not just with the application, but with your
yeah,
whole
let me,
window.
um, now hopefully everybody can see it.
We're still seeing the same thing that we saw before. So if there's another window on top of,
Uh,
so when you hit share screen, you just need to share your whole window, not the browser window. Because whatever's popping up on your screen that you can see, we can't see. So it's probably just desktop one or something like that. When you hit share screen at the bottom of Zoom, you just pick desktop one.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not. I don't know that I necessarily have those options. Um,
Yeah, we can see that now. Thank you.
okay. Um, so let me start. Okay, let me start. So you create a recording. You click this to enable this. Clicking that button is what enables the screen share. So this shares what's on your screen. What's here on the left will be a sign of you. Then you start the recording. As I mentioned before, you can pause the recording if you, for some reason, don't want to record a certain portion of the class. You can just click the pause recording, then resume. When you are done with the entire recording, you hit the stop button, and that automatically gives you the option to upload the recording. You click done automatically. Now, as you can see, the recording is being uploaded. Then, after the whole recording is done, and as you can see, it does take a little bit of time, the recording will now be appear within your courses in Blackboard. As you can see, if you look, I hope you can share this screen now. This is all of my recordings from the previous semester. And a question that came up in the last session that I figured I would share a little bit. The nice thing is that with each recording, you can actually you can then review the recording yourself. You could see that it's automatically transcribed, and you can then go back and edit those. You can then actually edit that transcription. Um, Let me stop my share now, because I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover, and see if, first of all, either if Dan wants to correct any mistakes that I made, or if anybody has any questions that they want to ask me. Dan,
Steve,
did I, Dan, did I miss a whole lot?
No, there's just two things. One, when you're setting up Blackboard, that link that you created, that's actually already in every Blackboard course. So you can just skip a step and then go hit the configure button. So it's just you're doing it the way that we always did it before we put the link in Blackboard. So what you're doing isn't wrong. It's just that it's a little bit easier now. So, and then the preview button that you clicked on to see the screen share, that's just a preview. By default, the screen share should already be chosen. So when you clicked on it to see what would be recorded, that's just a preview. So you don't really need to do that in order for it to work. But it's good to see what you will be recording. So that's all. Everything else was good.
Thank you.
No problem.
Michelle, you did have a question? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple questions. First question is, like, how soon after classes do you share the recording?
It's automatically shared. The way it works is once you stop the recording and you hit that upload button, it takes generally, I don't know, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but it generally takes anywhere between 15 minutes to a half hour. And then I will get an email saying your Panopto recording is now ready. And then it's automatically shared with the students. I can, if I don't want them to see it right away, I can click a button that will allow me to share it with them later. But by default, as soon as I get the email that tells me that the recording is now ready, it's available to students.
I guess my question then, when I'm thinking about the workflow, because you talked about that you can edit it, right? And like review it. So if you need to edit the captions or if you need to take part of it out, like what, do you let the students like sort of have access to that unedited version first? And then if you see any mistakes, you go back in and change it? Like like when you think about your workflow, like how does that usually go for you?
That's a great question. To be honest, yes, that's the way I've always done it. I've generally, I have not suspended the recording, if you will, and reviewed it on my own. If there were sometime a session where I know I made a mistake, well, I don't want to take too long, but I'm talking about when I'm recording an actual class that I've taught. Now, presumably the students who have already been in class have heard that exact same presentation. So I don't know that it's appropriate for me to suspend the students who were not in that class from seeing that recording pretty quickly. But I can say that if I do know that I made a mistake, I would hold back sharing the recording so I could edit the transcription as well. Yeah, what Casey just wrote is exactly what I did. If I realize that I made a mistake, I will make the recording unavailable, make what changes what I have to make, and then change the recording again. However, as I mentioned, sometimes even in a class that I'm teaching face to face, I might add an additional recording that I want the students to see. And with that, what I will do is I will make the recording, I will stop it. It will automatically upload it, but then I will not share that. I will not release that to the students until I've had a chance to watch it. Sometimes, I'll be honest, last spring, I actually had to delete an entire recording and re-record it because I just was not happy with what I had come up with. But more typically, I would make a recording, stop it. It would automatically be uploaded to Blackboard. I would not share it with the students until I watched it, possibly make any edits that I needed to make or add anything to the bottom, and then would share it with the students.
Great, thanks. I was also just thinking about it in terms of the transcription errors that sometimes like the transcriptions or the captioning just captions something wrong, not necessarily an error that you were making, Steve. So kind of both of those things we should be thinking about in terms
Right.
of things that could need to be fixed.
You are correct. And I usually try to do it And it is something that I would recommend it for the exact reason that you said. I usually try to watch my recording pretty shortly after I end the class, but I have found that the transcription does a pretty good job. The automatic transcription tool really is pretty good. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but it does a pretty nice job. Um, but that being said, you are 100% right. Just to make sure that everybody who has access to the material, whether it's through the live course or through the recording, gets the best version possible. I will try to watch my recording as shortly as I can after I actually finish the class, and then make sure that the transcript is as close to accurate as possible, and then share that with the students, and then make sure, and then either edit that and reshare it with the students, or just leave it in as it was.
All right, folks, based on the timing in our short sessions today, I want to encourage anybody that has any questions about anything that we've talked about this morning to join us for our 2 o'clock accessibility drop-in session. We will have plenty of fellows and folks there from the accessibility work group to answer any of your specific one-on-one questions. We've also got 2 more accessibility sessions coming up this afternoon, one on accessibility checkers and one on the accessibility features in LaTeX. So we hope to see all of you at one of those sessions today. And if not, we've got more on deck tomorrow, but that's all for this morning. Have a great lunch break, everybody, and we'll see you later on.